Welcome back to the Body Science Content Studio. I am your host, Jackson Thomas, joined as always, Skipper Scope. What's up, baby? And the boss, Isaac John.
What's up, baby? What's up? Welcome back, Jacko.
Desi gets a fist pump every time too.
Who's my guy? Oh, cheese.
You get cheese down. Yeah,
I'll get Stace, yeah? Yeah, there you go.
Oh, I was just right there underneath him too. Could have got me and Chico.
Let's have a good show, Des.
My two favourite halves. It's good to be back, boys. Feels right. New studio and that.
Yeah, welcome back, bro.
Yeah,
nice
true.
and tan. You running this morning, look good.
Yeah.
Closet training.
Yeah. Off the jump. Look, my absence has obviously been missed, but it is good to be back. In all seriousness, thank you very much for letting me go home and do my thing. I'll get into it a little bit more with Geordie, but yeah, obviously everyone here knows why I had to be away and it was rough, but I'm back, I'm excited, I'm pumped, and yeah.
It's good to have you back. Yeah. Welcome back.
Fuck that. Let's rip into the sports show. All right, boys, we're going to start. We've got a big show today. We'll start with the three big things. The headlines are sort of doing the rounds in footy at the moment. Get you guys' takes on that before we roll into, of course, your guys' breakdown and the fan questions from YKTR.SPORTS. So first one off the press, I suppose, is the Dolphins. Ears are obviously burning, Skip. Listened to the show last week, but they have announced the signings of Jesse Bromwich and Mark Nichols, obviously to go along with the likes of Kafusi that they've already sort of announced. Still waiting on that marquee, but what do you make of the two big boys signing?
Love them. Love Jesse, obviously, straight off the bat. Mark Nichols is a progressive front row that's come through and played under Wayne. Two really good signings. I'm still looking for a marquee, but Uncle Wayne's watching the show, man. YKTR Sports Show. We had a good episode last week. We just put a little bit of pressure on him. Just let him know that they're probably need to make another couple of signings, but it's obviously trending the right way now. So all positive for me.
Yeah, me too. I'm along with Scope as well. I think the Jesse Bromwich one is the key one. I think that he almost rolls into club captain, or he'll be the steady guy. He's a guy that stood next to Cameron Smith for the past sort of 10 years. So he's got that leadership experience. He's led the Kiwis as well. But I feel like a little bit more confident off the back of that because the people that will follow, now Bromwich is there. Potentially guys that could follow Kenny Bromwich. I think Asafa Solomona, if he goes up to Japan for a year and the laws start to loosen in terms of vaccinations, he could come back down and join him. His best mate used to be Kevy Proctor as well. He's got a 1 year contract that's
a good point.
Thing. And then Milf, potentially move there as well, but then KP Walsh or potentially even both as well. So like Scope, there still needs to be a marquee signing in that 7, 6 or 1 or 9, anywhere in that spine, but trending a lot more confident than I was last week and ready.
Before we will stay on the Dolphins, but off the back of that, like if you're Melbourne and you lose, like they've gone, obviously Cam Smith leaves, leader, Finucane, leader. Is Jesse Bromwich captain this year?
Yeah, Jesse was captain. Felice Kafusi is a senior member.
And then obviously they've lost the likes of Nico Hines, etc. But if you're Melbourne, does it feel kind of like, I know we say it every year and then they go on and fucking finish 3rd or 4th, but does it feel a little bit like they're losing that sting?
They're losing a lot of veteran presence, which is they've done a really good job over the last 20 years of even after the big three, like they sort of moulded through players at the same time where they come through. It's crucial now, like Munster and Harry Grant become so much more important for him. And those are two names that have been tossed up a fair bit because they're marquee players, obviously, and everyone wants them. They've got to secure those two guys and get their contracts done ASAP. One, because on the back of it, because they're losing experienced players. And then also, man, because they're losing so many players, they've got to be able to bring players in. And in the past, it's always been Craig Bellamy gets the best out of guys like Nick Meaney and Xavier Coates who have gone down there this year. But it's important that they take care of in-house at the moment now because everyone's coming after them. Like everyone's the best club in the NRL for the last 20 years, like I said. So everyone wants a piece of the storm.
No, they'll be fine. Obviously, the big one when they were left was Cameron Smith, Cooper Cronk, and Billy Slater, and they replaced them pretty quickly. And you can build a team off a spine, and they've got the spine there. But like Scope said, you've got to lock them in.
Caveat to that, what if they then lose Bellamy as well?
Yeah, that's huge.
Did Bellyache just re-sign last year for an extended?
I can double check.
Can we check that?
I think he's like 1 or 2 years, but I think he wants to retire anyway soon. He wants to be like head of football operations, but that's the understanding I was getting. But whoever the next guy is, he's got a few guys down there that could potentially take over. He's nurtured some pretty good assistant coaches over the years as well. So, yeah, that'll be sweet.
Brief look here. It says that he last year extended until 2026 with a couple of options. So
those options are
in his favour, I'd say.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think they're going to be fine. Jesse Bromwich is 31, 32. Like, Nas is kind of a big one because he's the big prop that's his body shape's hard to replicate. You can't get another guy that kind of looks like him. So that's really – but, yeah, it'd be interesting, the long tail of the back of Bromwich leaving. So guys like Kenny Bromwich. So if you get Kenny, Felice, and Jesse, that's almost half the Melbourne pack anyway.
Yeah.
And then you get a guy potentially like Toby Rudolph, who's come from Redcliffe, who's I think he's off contract as well. The pack starts to look all right. Plug in a nice little hooker, need a 761 and you're away.
Need a 761 scope, crystal ball it. Who's the Redcliffs? I know you spoke about before, but like the next big signing where everyone's waiting for that big marquee name. Obviously they got time and Wayne Bennett's got a whole year to do his thing, but who do you reckon they're targeting? Who would you be targeting?
KP.
Yeah, same as me, KP.
Yeah.
And if you can't get KP, Reece Walsh.
All right, moving on. Leave Reece alone. All right, and the other big thing that's sort of doing the rounds this week was obviously the rule change coming to the NRL. So last year we saw the 6 again rather than a penalty for lying in the ruck. Obviously the smart teams figured that out, especially in the grand final, etc. So little tweak to that. So as I understand it, now when you are inside your own 40-metre line,
Bringing the ball out.
if the defensive team is offside or lie in the ruck, it's not 6 again, it will be a penalty. Do we like, love, or hate that, man?
Great rule change. I think everyone's pretty unanimous in this that it was a tactic that people used. It was a bit frustrating. It slowed it down. It didn't really give a player who carries the ball, strong out of yardage, the chance to get up and get a quick play of the ball because you just happily give it away because it's not going to matter. It's still 6 tackles. So great rule change for me.
Yeah, same as me. Yeah, I like it too. I think it slows down the game a little bit. Like everyone's sort of pushing for a faster game. Game doesn't need to get faster. Yeah. It's already fast as it is, and everyone gets more tired, more injuries, all that, less subs. It's fast enough as it is. So it's the one that can slow it down. And I like set pieces.
Yeah.
It's not like
I was
union.
about to say, it's
I
nice
like
when you kick and you get a full set. Yeah.
And you practice those in training as well. All right, boys, let's kick one out and let's run a bit of shape. And I like those.
Yeah. I'd like to see, sorry, Scope, if there's a bit of discretion around, like if it's later in the tackle count and the team's rolling, like 6 again does work in that sense. But so the way the coaches used it was those first 2 tackles where you'd almost just give it away for the sake of...
Yeah, you don't want to give away 3rd and 4th because the boys would be gassed. So ding, 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 ding. That hurts. I didn't get to play during the bell, man. I wouldn't like the bell. But another great thing out of it that was mentioned is only one rule change. And it's done now. The teams are aware of it. With 3 or 4 weeks to go before trials. Perfect.
Yeah.
Get it done now. If there's any rule changes, don't touch it this year. If anything comes up throughout the year, don't touch anything. Do the same thing next year.
What's the chances of that happening?
I was literally
very slim, but VLANDY'S, I think, even mentioned like this will be the only rule change.
Yeah, he did.
And it could, he seemed to be hinting at that's going to be the case, which is a great thing for the game.
You reckon the coaches are going to figure this one out too, though? They'll find a way to...
Oh, it's like it's how it was before. So it'll just be the same thing. So fight to get a quick play of the ball. If you get a penalty, we cruise up the field and throw into a bit of good ball. So I like it.
And defending on your own line, obviously we're still going to see him doing it and giving away those 6. But did you like the use of cards down on the goal line, or
I like it as it just like resets and goes again because then like you don't have time to stop and go again
and keep warning the players.
Yeah. So I like it to just keep rolling. But
it works in the red zone for sure because you don't. That's once again when your ass is hanging out and you're under pressure defending the line. You don't want to hold down and give away a penalty. You hold down because you try to hold as long as you can, but you don't want that 6 again. So teams won't be trying to do that with the 6 again rule still down there. So positive, very positive.
Love it. And I do like the fact that VLANDY'S did come out and say it's time to consolidate. So we're tweaking this one rule and then we're going to let the game do its thing for a while.
Like that. Love that.
So we can actually fucking understand it. So, and last one, just one quick one. I'm back, so I've mentioned Sneaker Warriors story in here.
All right, go ahead.
Jeez, SJ looked all right in the kit, didn't he?
He did. Some things look normal, like when Kieran Foran cruised back to Manly. Like it just looks like the part. I remember Manly played in Wolverine shirts one time and they were like blue and yellow.
Yeah.
Just look rank. Some people suit uniforms in Shawnee Johnson, even though he's a good looking dude and he suited the old baby blue of the Cronulla. He just looks fucking way cool in the Warriors. And I like the Warriors kid in Puma.
Yeah.
Goes back to the glory days.
Yeah.
We didn't make the grand final in the Puma. That was the first year of Canterbury. But Wade McKinnon palming cunts with the old Puma socks up high.
Yeah. He's underrated, Wade McKinnon, man. People sleep on Wade McKinnon. He had a good couple of years there.
07 with Palm of Doom, just boom.
Yeah,
Him and Corey Jane, pound for pound, strongest palms.
Yeah, fair. Love that little in and away. All right, I had to sneak one in, Scope.
No, that's good.
Thank you, mate.
Get out of the way.
And you know what else you need to sneak in, mate? There's a bit of clippers down there. Yeah, this show is brought to you by Manscaped. The best in below the belt grooming. Jump onto manscaped.com.au. They are big supporters of YKTR Sports, and it's for good reasons because they have very good product. Jump in there. Lawnmower 4.0, little crop preserver spray. That's what Simi uses to stay nice and fresh. Jump in, use promo code ICE, ICE, or use promo code SCOPE, whichever one of the boys you think have had the better takes in this show. Jump on there. That'll get you 20% off and free shipping, correct?
Correct.
Jump on. Get yourself sorted, man. No one wants to be 1970s porn stars down there. So shout out manscaped.com.au, promo code ICE or promo code SCOPE.
Fuck, you killed that, Jacko. That was well done.
Yeah, because you can actually read.
It's like me killing it after I've had a bit of Manscaped on the rig. And
Yeah, exactly.
Getting after it.
Getting after your work.
Yeah, that was a really good ad read.
Love that. There we go.
Hey,
All right.
question.
Yeah.
If you were never to shave your pubes ever, how long do they grow? Do they stop at a certain length, or do they just keep getting
I'd
longer
imagine
and
so.
longer?
Lukey, where do yours stop? Oh, good boy.
You mean Manscaped?
Yeah,
Good
yeah,
lad.
yeah. Nice. I don't know. Yeah, little dreadlocks in that. Rank. Bottom four breakdown. Should we get into it, Skip?
Let's get into it.
All right, mate. We'll start with you here. We are going to go with that format: strengths, weaknesses, X factors, and come up, which we are excited for. So we'll get the boys to start on the Bulldogs. Roll into the Cowboys, Broncos, and Tigers. The next four next week, so on until the start of the season. So we'll start with you, Scope, for the Doggies. Give me your strengths, man.
I like the middle. Simi's going on about the Doggies there. He's potentially an ambassador for them this year. We don't know. There's more to come. It could be a Porky. We don't know. But
I've seen the email, man.
that's not a Porky eyes. I love this. I love their middles out of the Bulldogs. It's probably the most established position out of the group too, with guys like Luke Thompson's had a year there. Jack Hetherington got brought in last year. If Josh Jackson plays middle or edge, I'm not too sure. I think that'll be determined by whether they play Tavita on the edge, Tavita Pangai Jr. And a guy that was missing last year is Raymond
Fatalamena.
Yeah, I love him. He missed maybe about 18 months now. If he can come back and solidify that edge, because I like Josh Jackson in the middle personally. At this point of his age, he was better on the edge as he's younger. But then you had a guy like Paul Vaughan. He brings a bit of X factor. He's a rep footy player, and a guy who I love, who's just rock solid, Big Ava. In the middle, who's he come over from the Super League. He's playing from this year. I just love the middles. For me, that's their strength.
Strengths for you?
Me, Gus Gould. I think he's a marquee signing. I know everyone's talking about the playing talent, but I think successful clubs start from the top. And for a long time there, you didn't know. Like you need someone to answer to. You need a hierarchy system, and I think there's no one better than Gus Gould, but potentially besides the two Roosters like Politis and stuff like that. But I've been under Gus, and he's got a wonderful talent of getting people in and around him and getting the team going. And he's got this gift of the gab when it's speech. So when he does those Origin sort of promos, he's walking into those blind and just winging it off the bat. And he can do those types of conversations. It's almost like Any Given Sunday when Al Pacino gives that speech there. So he's someone that everyone's going to have to answer to, and he's kind of a little bit ruthless as well. If you're not performing up to your standard, he'll get rid of you. So I think that's an important pressure to have in a rebuilding club. I don't think playing talent's enough, and I don't think my takeout, I think the Bulldogs make the top 8. Just based off the playing talent, you need time to sort of rebuild that structure within and culture. And it starts from the top, builds down, and it takes time. And he'll look after nurseries as well. Yep. If I was someone, I'd be starting to attack the Liverpool southwest area. I know they've got alignment with West Tigers, a little bit too far to travel, and looking down the south coast. So I think it's a wonderful club. It's got rich history. I think they can build that back up, and I think he's the guy to do it. So he's my strength. Yeah, I agree. I think they feel a little bit like the Gold Coast Titans did last year when they get those sexy new signings and everyone gets a little bit excited. But I think 8, I've
got him in the 10 to 12 range.
Yeah, I think somewhere around there. Weaknesses, Scope, for the Bulldogs this year?
The weaknesses is combinations in the spine. So individually, I love Duff, who looks like being the fullback there for him. Burton, and there's been chat that Averillo is going to partner him at this stage. And Jeremy Marshall-King, I like them all individually, but not one of them have played together apart from, Jeremy Marshall-King and Averillo have, but it hasn't been successful. So it'll be important that if they're going to go in that direction, I know there's been question marks tossed up with Kyle Flanagan and whether they want him at the club or if he's getting a chance to get in the halves. I'd love to see them sort of make that decision. If Trent Barrett's going to go with those guys, make that decision nice and early. Sort of set it for them so they can get in together. Yeah,
not that you're fighting for a position for round 1 style thing. Yeah. You can do that with props when there's like a 4-person rotation, but when you're halves in the 7 and 6, you want to know because it affects the rest of the team.
Yeah, fucking oath. So even if there was a question mark leading up to Christmas, I'd like that decision to be made now.
I think it's made in-house.
Yeah.
I think they're keeping everyone else happy in the media from behind. Weaknesses for me, culture. I think there's a saying, winning is a habit. Unfortunately, so is losing. They're so accustomed to losing. It's like, even though they've got these wonderful, talented players coming through, they're still coming into a house that's a little bit broken. And it's going to be confusing. You've got to re-establish culture. Who's the leader? You've got Addo Carr, who's won a couple of competitions. You've got Matt Burton. When the boys are in the shit, who are they looking to? Are they looking to Josh Jackson, who's a really good captain and leader and stuff like that? But he's lost like the last 3-4 years. So it's like someone going into a relationship with past trust issues. And I feel like this is it's going to take a while to establish culture. And that's why Gus Gould is really important for me. But for me, they're just so used to losing, and it's going to be hard to get out of it, especially when you're down 12-0 early on, and they've got a tough draw, first 5.
Okay, staying on the Bulldogs, X Factor for you, Scope.
Our boy, a mate of ours at YKTR.SPORTS, Matt Duffy, I mentioned him before in the spine. We watched plenty of games last year where he's at the Dragons, and the game that stands out the most is the Parramatta game where he basically won it by himself. Everyone chipped in and played well that game, but he brained him, and he's capable of those stuff, but he's also capable of having a quiet game. Big things you talked about with the combinations and the confidence. He's also a player that hasn't come from, he lost a bit of confidence at the back end of the Dragons. They end up playing young Tyrell Sloan. So he's going there on a 1 year point to prove deal, which I love for him. I think it'll bring out the best in him. And if he can have a big year, because it's going to take, they're not noted ball players in Burton and Avarillo. They're more ball runners. And Duff started to develop a real – was his go-to side the right to left? Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
The right to left to
left to right, because he used to go 2 pass. Oh, you talking about Duffy? Or?
Yeah, Duffy.
He used to go to the right, because I remember he's always seen that long pass.
But he started to develop that left side with Jackie Bird when he was playing in the centres last year. So they're going to rely on him heavily on the back of those plays to come in and come up with that sort of shape, and just put a try or two, or just even if it's not a try, just put on some nice shape. I think he's important to just take a bit of pressure off Burton Avarillo, who are going to be on a shitload, or whoever the 7 is with Burton, who are going to be on a whole heap of pressure. If he can come in and play well from fucking round 1, I think that puts him in a really good position.
He's got points in him, mate. He can get him 6 to 8 a game easily, and he's not even kicking. For me, X Factor, the obvious one, Matt Burton, off the back of a premiership. I love his demeanour, I love the way he carries himself, big, strong left boot. He'll be able to kick him into games, but I'm not too sure if they got the talent around him to sort of execute on those. Like, you look at someone like Adam Reynolds, who can kick you into a game, and then they had a beautiful shape at South where Cody Walker could come finish it off. Duffy could be that guy when they get certain looks, and obviously you got Adokar, who's an elite finisher, but it has to be Burton. It has to be. He can kick him into games. They're going to have a bit more chance, a bit more good ball, and he's good enough to execute as well. He's a big body. He can run. He's like the muscly Stephen Larkham, the way he sort of carries himself. So
yeah, good shout.
It has to be him. It has to be.
Would you be partnering Avarillo to be your halfback?
I think if you're going long term, if you're going rebuild, I go him. I wouldn't mind seeing Flanagan in there. I think he can hold a wide 4 pretty easily and comfortable, and then he could almost be like Adam Reynolds, where if we play enough a longer shift, he can do a drop lead and give it to the boys out the back to let them do their things. So if you were to have those 2 halves in there, you'd give Burton 75% of the ball. Yeah. And you just use Flanagan as just a
even if Flanagan plays, you'll find a spot for Avarillo.
It's like Brett Seymour used to just feed the ball to Lockyer back in the day. Just do that.
Yeah. That was what I was going to say before. If Kyle Flanagan can come out of this preseason and win that job, fuck, that suits the Bulldogs even more, because if Avarillo can play 14 for him,
he can play centre as well if he has to.
Centre, like he can come on, he can play that
he reminds me of Dylan
role.
Walker, eh?
Yeah, he can play that Dylan Walks role. That'll be unreal. Like the Bulldogs would be stoked with that, but it's up to Flanagan. He's got to come and win the job off Avarillo.
How big's Avarillo?
I don't know. He looks about 6 foot, 6'1", maybe 90 kilos, I reckon.
So if Connor Watson can play in the middle, he could. So you could get Josh Jackson to sort of eat up all the pressure and do all the hard work, and then get the Dylan Walker style. Dylan Walker's not that big, bro.
Phil's about the same.
183 centimetres, 92 kilos. Yeah.
Yep.
92 kilos.
The old Iceman.
Yeah, that's solid.
So he's like similar build to me, but a bit more in shape.
Yeah, and can move.
Yeah.
And that's respectfully.
I don't know, man.
He gets around the ground.
You were hitting the sand today.
That wasn't respectfully.
It wasn't.
Straight
You're right.
for the front.
It wasn't.
And come up, Scope. Where are we looking for the Bulldogs?
Hey, this is a guy I'm pumped on, and I've been on for a minute. I think I've told you about him, Jacko, not only for the Bulldogs but in the competition. Aaron Schott. He played centres for him last year on the left edge. The part I love about him, he's got some silk about him. He's got a nice little flick ball. He's an aggressive cunt. Like he does all the shit carries. He gets in for the shit carries. He's not afraid to get amongst it. He's got like a little push and shove at him when he defends. I like him. I know a lot of people with the Bulldogs are pretty high on him. If you look at just comments sometimes on fan pages and the Bulldogs pages, they love him. And I think he's in for a big year. Like the centre position in New South Wales at the moment is stacked. I reckon there are going to be some really good centres sort of present themselves over the next year or two, and I think he's going to be one of them for sure. I love him.
Yeah. Mine's not so much a come up, more so like a bounce back, and it's Josh Jackson. We've talked about him a little bit, and the point I want to make is, if you tracked his career really early on, he was playing for Origin, he was getting the Brad Fittler medal I think he might have got once or twice. He definitely got it. I know that for sure. But if you tracked him and Dale Finucane, you would have said Josh Jackson would go on to have a better career at the time. And this is the importance of systems where you go from Bulldogs, who's picked up wooden spoons, to Melbourne Storm, and they've got fucking winning competitions. You can see the importance of a system and having a great team around you, and a great system and a great administration and a great owner around you. So I think he's going to be excited to look around and see a bit of talent. I think he's going to be excited to look around and not be the guy that always has to voice his opinion. I think that gets tiring sometimes, not only for him, but for when you just got the same guy saying the same shit over and over. You want someone to step up, a Nato Carr, a Burden, Varney, if he's up to that sort of leadership sort of standard. So I think you're going to see the best out of Josh Jackson. And I think a lot more people are going to be watching Bulldogs footy this year, and hopefully I'd love to see him just sneak a little 17 in an origin or something like that.
Yeah.
And he's definitely capable of doing it.
Yep. All right.
Is this a downside of loyalty in sports in the modern day, that your fucking career goes... Loyalty is a cool thing, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is that,
he would have got paid well, because at the time he was playing for New South Wales. So at the
he
time,
did win the Bradford medal.
He's got no idea that the administration's not going to make right decisions and bring in the right people and play those things. So at the time, I imagine when he would have signed maybe bigger deals back in the day, around like 12 to 14, they were really successful. They were playing grand finals.
Yeah, true.
At that time, when Finucane goes and he ends up staying, they're in a good space. And then, I don't know, it just hasn't panned out for them. So I can't imagine if he'd got offered, I don't know. When did he? It's a funny one to see when he re-signed.
When was the last time you watched a Bulldogs game?
I can't remember. Well, maybe when Fozzie was playing the year before, because it was Foz. But we were about to get onto another team where it was, we're looking at the Cowboys and Tigers and teams like that. Like, they don't interest me too much. It's hard to sort of get a read on them. But
will you watch them round one?
Yeah, I'll definitely be keen on them this year.
Same.
They'll be like exactly what we mentioned before. They'll be like the Titans for us last year, where I was really intrigued to see how they're going to play. Whether it was because it's even if it's not going to be good, it's still entertaining, right? Because they make all these signings and it doesn't pan out. So
Josh Jackson re-signed.
So you low-key want them to fail, do you? That's the vibe I'm
Sunderland
getting.
Until I Die. Like, it's the documentary. It's like Indianapolis Colts on Hard Knocks this year. They failed to make the playoffs. People were attracted to that. But I hope they do well.
Yeah. Before we move on, Josh Jackson re-signed in 2019 on a 3-year deal, so he's going to be there until 2023.
Yeah, and that
I hope he's getting paid a fucking stack.
Yeah, he would be, because they would have had to have got that done. He's the captain. He's the cunt that rips him from all the time. So
it says here unofficially, it says 600,000.
He's worth more than that.
Yeah. Okay, let's jump across to the Cowboys. They skip a bit of a rough year for them last year. Obviously, the whole Michael Morgan situation definitely obviously affected the makeup of their side a lot more than they probably expected. But Peyton's in there.
I was surprised he's just turned 30, bro.
Michael Morgan.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. Yeah, Michael Morgan was that run. Was it 17?
Yeah.
So it's still probably one of those smoky runs that we don't talk about.
Was that
enough,
Rogers' year as well? Is that why we sort of forget it? When
Rogers
was Rogers'
18.
year? Was Roger 18?
But 17 was when I think was Thurston injured or retired. And he just fucking carried them the whole way.
All the way to the GF with the other JT.
Knocked out Norman in the second round of the finals.
That's right. And the Eels were hot too.
Yeah, they were hot. They should have won. They should have beat Melbourne the week before. Then
he was special. Obviously that's rocked the club a little bit, and tough year last year, but strengths for the Cowboys in 2022, Skip.
Look, it's a tough roster. There's these next three teams apart. Actually, the Broncos not too bad, but it's a tough roster. I think they've got an underrated 9 rotation. I really love Reece Robson. I'm pretty high on him as a starting 9. I think little Jakey Granville got himself back into a bit of form, whether it's playing at fullback and on the wing or centres, but for whatever reason he was playing. I didn't watch many Cowboys games, but when I looked up, Jakey Granville was thereabouts, and he seemed to fight his way back in, because I think at one point he was playing maybe Queensland Cup, or he was injured and he had to fight his way back into the team. But I thought he did that really well by the end of the year. And a guy that I really like is just from the one game that I watched last year in the Indigenous All-Stars game, was Ruben Cotter. Yeah, Ruben Cotter was really nice for the Aboriginals last year against the New Zealand Māori. I think they've got a good little rotation where they could potentially play all three, because Robson and Cotter can both play lock. That Cotter's pretty thick. He started at 9 for him, and then he went and played a little bit of lock. I think that's a nice little 9 rotation where they can, especially with the rule changes, that's what I'm sort of alluding to, where it's a quicker game now. If those guys can get a nice little rotation, work together nicely, play off each other a bit like Harry and Cheese can, not to that extent, but if they can dominate through the middle, it obviously sets it up for JT and the rest of the pack and whatnot.
Yeah, my strengths, I've gone for a steady halves pairing. I know they signed Chad Townsend, and he's steady as they come. Like his good games and bad games, you can't really tell the difference between them. But the reason why I like that steady number 7, it frees up Drinkwater, and he's the key for me. I love the way he plays. I've got massive raps on him. I think if he plays anywhere else, he's knocking on the door of
You've always
Origin.
been high on him. Yeah.
I've always been high on him. I reckon if you put him anywhere else, I'd put him above Mitchell Moses. Like he'd be the guy below Jerome Luai and Nathan Cleary. If he's at a Roosters, if he stays at Melbourne, I think he's right there. And I think Townsend can really steady the ship. So when he looks up, he can get decent looks. So I like.
Was that Drinky? Did you say
Drinky?
Yeah,
I like him. I really like him.
Yeah.
Best position definitely in the halves.
Yep.
Not at fullback. Yeah.
Yep. Because he's not that big of a body, and I know we're gravitating towards smaller fullbacks right now, and fullbacks are kind of cool position. But I like him at 6. I like him getting more touches. I really like him. He's my X factor too, by the way.
Jump on that. Weaknesses scope for the Cowboys.
JT needs some help in the middle. Apart from the 9s, I just think within the pack they've got a couple of young up and coming back rowers, young players that are coming through, but. You know, when I'm looking through the squad, there's not too much in the forwards that excites me outside of Jason, and he's starting to. You can see he's starting to feel that pressure and the wear and tear over the years. Like the run that he went on, you talked about Michael Morgan's run. That lasted 5 years for him. Like that's just tiring. That's too much. Yeah. He needs some help. I think
Helium Lukey's
I think a guy that I think Ice is going to bring up a little bit later on.
Yeah.
Jordan McLean sort of needs to chip in and help him out a little bit more. He's experienced enough. He would have been brought there on a big wicket. Like I think he can really help out Jay. He's big body, man. Like they haven't been. Cohen Hess plays representative footy, but like
he picks and chooses when he plays.
He's one of those guys that's 50-50 sometimes. So look, they've got a few names that are there to help him out. Like they just really need to buy in, and it just looks a bit weak through the middle there for me.
Hey, sneak a little pickup, Petahiku.
Yeah, Pet's nice.
Silky.
Come on, man.
And
That's my guy.
He'll be up there. He'll be
my
up
favourite
there,
centre, man.
losing a bit of weight too, so he might be
He has lost weight. I've seen some pictures, man.
It's hot up there
He's
too.
Nick, yeah.
Weakness for me, Toddy Payton. I've gone straight for the head coach. I think he's coming with an. I think he was like when he took over the Warriors for that little stint. He was really good because he implemented like that. Like no bullshit mentality, and I think he tried to take that straight up to Cowboys. And I think he got. I'm just guessing. I don't know. I'm just making shit up here. I feel like he threw all your star players offside straight away.
I think
like the dropping the Tomalolo or pulling him off early. And if you got your best player that everyone in the change room looks up to, and he's going down. I'm not saying this is what he's saying, but if he's going, Cadge just go, no, fuck this guy.
Yeah,
your whole team goes with it.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. I believe it was Rugby League Guru. Apologies if it wasn't. Someone made the point a couple of weeks ago about like Bruce Arians when he makes an example of Tom Brady, but he goes, Todd Payton making an example of Taumalolo was just a miss. Like he saw what he was trying to do when he would come out and he'd say, I'm pulling him back, or he missed a few tackles there or whatever. But like in a side that, like we said, the roster's, a bit light in experience. I don't know. In hindsight, of course, I don't know if that was the right play.
If you're going to give them a spray, like tip them up too. Like, like if you're a star player, you go in and you're whispering different. Like they get treated different, and they should be. Like they get a bit more chances in life and in terms of football, and that's the way I think the way it should be, because they're the ones that are going to get you results. But like tip them up or something. Hey, bro, I want to give you like a bit of a spray here in the media. Yeah. But this is what I really think. But this is what I'm going to say because I need to set an example for everyone. Yeah. Not just come out and go bang.
And Jason Tomolo said all the right things. Whatever happened, for whatever reason, he's just like, he seems like such a good dude. He never can really see him ever complain, and you never really see him do too much media. But when he was asked, he always said the right things, and he just went about his work and just did it, bro.
Yeah, he's a professional. He's a professional.
Ultimate.
Yeah. All right, X Factor scope for the Cowboys. Where are we going?
X Factor for this is, and I really like this. We talked about it with the Bulldogs. I sent a report that Val is setting himself to play centres this year. So therefore the hammer, hopefully if he comes back from his injury for round one, that he's going to be locked in for fullback. And I think that's great news for everyone at North Queensland.
Glenn Fishiahi 2.0. That's what he reminds me of.
Yeah, he's a bit like the fish. But I just love...
A bit thicker than the fish.
I love the fact that they've maybe had that conversation with Val and Hammer, and it said it's going to be your role and to knock it down, because when they were going back and forth or they weren't too sure, or... Val would sort of fill in there and then put Hamaso in the centres or on the wing. I didn't like it. I think he's the future.
You got to get your best player as much touches as possible, and fullbacks that position right now where you can catch kicks and you can get out the back of plays. And I think he'll develop that pass. but he's quick enough to sort of get by for now. But yeah, I agree.
The thing that stands out for me the most is how he performed in Origin last year.
That was at centre as well.
That was at centres, but I didn't realise how big he was in that.
Yeah, he's thick, right?
He was. The way he held his own against. Was he on Latrell's side?
Yes.
Left. He was on. Yeah, he was on the right. Latrell's left. He did an unreal job, and I'm really excited. They've got to be putting all their eggs into one basket with him and make sure that he's the one. He kills it, and then they develop people around him.
They've got him listed at 6'1", 91 kilos. So
that's nice.
Big boy, yeah.
It's nice. He looked a bit heavier.
Same size as me.
Yeah.
6'1".
Second time you've done that. Careful. X Factor for you, bro.
Drinky. I think he's the guy. Honestly, like when you've got someone who's come from the Melbourne system and he was keeping a guy like Pappenhausen out, and he's pushing more so. Jerome was covering up for Brodie Croft going up. But he was the guy where you got one of the greatest rugby league minds in the world, and Craig Bellamy going, this is going to be my fullback. And obviously he got let go because Pappenhausen coming and killed it. I think he's in the right position to go on and kill it. He's at 51 games, 24 years old, so he hasn't played as much games as I thought he have. But he reminds me of Munster. Like big, strong 6, left side. He's got a palm. He always seems to sort of goosey before they get into the line.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's as good as Munster and he can shoot, but I think he's trending towards that way. And like I said, if he's in a better system, I think he's right up there for Origin.
Nice. Come up, Scope, Cowboys, where are you going?
He's like you said, he hasn't played that many games. My player to watch for them is, I've put it down as Drinky.
Yeah.
I just think just because they brought – the interesting thing with Drinkwater is they signed Chad Townsend and Tom Dearden before they signed Drinkwater. And then what happened was Drinky was fucking killing it that much. They ended up signing him. So at one point, he probably wasn't their 7 and 6 option. For me, it's about him cementing that spot now and taking it on, because the way he finished the middle part of the season towards the end was unreal for him. And then now just having that confidence that he is that guy, and you'd think, actually, you know what? Like with Chad, I like that Tommy Dearden as well. Like he's a little goer, man. I spoke to a few players about him too. Like I speak to Normie, they all love him and they reckon
Chico played with him.
Yeah, they reckon he has a fucking crack. So, it's. I think it's just watching him and making sure. I want him to cement that spot, like really make it his own. Whether it's Chad or Tommy Dearden at the 7, you've got to have him at 6. And like I said, he's another person. If you can build around him, JT's firing through the middle. You get their 9s playing the right, frees them up, and then they get
Scope, does he remind me of a young Timmy Smith with his face?
Tuffy, yeah, he's got a bit of Tuffy about him. Yeah,
he looks like him a bit. They
got a little bit of red, like they go red real quick.
Yeah,
too.
Bit of a chub in the face too. Come up for me, the Helium Lukey. It's blatantly obvious, just the way he plays, and I think. Like, his talent's obvious there, but that effort play when you're chasing down, was it Reece Walsh?
Yeah.
Just stuff like that, I think really sticks out to you as you, like, if you come through the game and you've seen a star fullback or up-and-coming star fullback get a clear break, and you're like, you can easily start walking towards the post and start grabbing a water bottle. Yeah. Where's the trainer? But he chased him down. Didn't get him.
Reece Lightning's quick.
So fast,
bro. He's so quick. And he had the angle too, which definitely helps. But it reminds me of that Patriots play back in the day that Bill Belichick always talks about.
Ben Watson.
Yeah, and that they, in the Patriots, in their video room, whenever they win a game, because we used to do this at Penrith, they used to have a photo of like the highlight of the game, and every time they won. So actually that photo there was up in our Penrith phone because one of the photos was up there when we pumped the Warriors, and obviously I got player of the game, so my photo was up there, and they tried to build that around there, and they copied it off the Patriots.
Yep.
And Ivan showed us that video of the guy chasing. He goes, if we ever wanted to put up a video off the back of a loss, this would have been it.
Yeah.
It's good to watch.
Yeah, no, that game wasn't good to watch, but 5 tries between YKTR that day. That hurts, Skip.
Yeah, we had Walshy any time, I believe. Someone else any time, and then we had Warriors 1-12, and they got dusted.
Yeah, it was good. I'm on him this year, big time. Broncos though, before we get on to the Wires and Tigers, strengths for you, Skip.
All right, this is a team that I've seen jumping from the outside into it. Strengths. I think there's some competition, some really good, healthy competition for some spots that aren't like the key spots.
6?
Well, that's the one. Apparently, like the chat is, it's between Tyson Gamble and Albert Kelly, like we talked about. I'd love to see Albie win that spot. As much as we talked about Gamble last year, I was thinking about it more. Albie, for people that don't know, Albert Kelly hasn't played in the NRL before last year for about 5 or 6 years. He killed it over in the Super League. He adds a bit of X factor. We talk about Cody Walker and that.
The ball bounces his way, eh?
He's just one of those guys, man. Albie he's just always thereabouts. So it wouldn't bother me either way. And I know he's just another guy, like he's a locker room guy. People love Albie whenever you spend any time with him. But I think there's some good competition for some spots outside of Payne Haas and Katoni Staggs and a few of these players. A couple of guys in the outside backs that I really like is I'll just get him up, the Pommy.
Herbie Farnsworth.
Herbie Farnsworth. And then
he's janky, man. He's got fast feet.
Selwyn Cobbo, he's going to be
he's going to be good, bro.
He's going to be going for a spot. Tessie New, fullback, and in the back row as well. Like you lose a guy like Lexi, who's been the club captain for the last 3 or 4 years. Jordan Ricky has sort of solidified his spot now on one side, and then it opens up for, there's Capewell there, but they've also got that Rabati that was coming through. TC Rabati looked nice in a few of his spots. So
I think it gives their back rows a different look as well.
Yeah,
Paddy Carrigan as well.
Yeah, Paddy. Yeah, he can 13. Sort of lock it in. There's a lot of pressure on him.
Yeah,
they gave him the captaincy. I think that's going to serve him well now that Ren's coming up there. Has that been announced yet? Ren's the captain? He will be the captain. He will be the captain. Yeah. But taking that pressure off Paddy Carrigan, who probably got it unfairly a couple of years ago. I just like the youth that's coming through at their squad.
Yeah, me for just a new beginning. They feel like they've had a fresh lick of paint over the joint with Adam Reynolds and Kurt Capewell rocking up there. And I think Adam Reynolds is always going to be the big key there. Much like Burden, he can kick you into a game and he can give you really, really good looks. And I sort of agree with Scope with the Albert Kelly because you've seen Reynolds come through the Souths and he's always had that Cody Walker style player. I don't think Albert Kelly's nowhere near as good.
He's that style though, yeah.
He's that style, not with the pass, but with the run, he could definitely be there.
He's so strong, bro.
Strong. He's a big body, bro.
Yeah.
He's a big body. So, and he knows, like we said, he knows where the ball's going to be and the ball seems to always bounce up in his direction. So for me, it's just a fresh beginning. They feel like a new team.
We'll see Mudders gamble at some point, though, won't we, Scope?
Yeah, of course.
Gamble
he'll effort his way into a team, and he might effort his way into round one.
I don't think Gamble's a Mudders too. I think he's pretty ripped and
he's just niggly.
It's more like Mudders Kelly and the one to watch out for too from Tamari Martin. Martin is that guy at the moment. He's put a lot.
It'd be cool to see him back.
It'd be a great story if he come back in. Off the back of what he's done, but apparently he's having a pretty good preseason.
He's a really good support player as well, much like Albert Kelly. So there's
still be very young.
The good thing about him, they got really good young forwards. So Jordan Rick can get an offload, Payne Haas can get an offload. If they can build that style of play into their play, those guys become a lot more relevant.
I think they'll be opposite of the Bulldogs too. I think these 2 or 3 guys are going to get a genuine chance to audition for the spot outside Ren because Ren's more a solidified half. Yeah. Whereas with Matty Burton, he's not a natural control the game sort of half. So that's where combinations would be important.
You don't reckon?
With Matty Burton. I would like in terms of controlling the great. Yeah, we haven't seen him have to do it yet.
I think he's going to be all right, bro.
Yeah, but I want him to get his guy and lock in straight away. With Ren, I'm not too bothered. I think if they get all the way to round one, Ren will make it work no matter what because I've seen it. I've seen Ren work with multiple sexes, whether it be Cody Walker, Johnny Sutton. There have been players, Luke Keary. He's got runs on the board of mixing and matching. They've all been really good combinations, so that's why I'm not too worried with Ren as much.
I like that.
Tamati Martin's only 26. Can you imagine, hypothetical, if he had never had his issues with his head and Michael Morgan was still sweet as well? The Cowboys would be sweet.
Were they doing much up in Cowboy? I don't watch enough Cowboys.
I felt like Tamati Martin was going like that until the career derailed, and obviously Michael Morgan's only 30.
Anyway, I feel like Tamati Martin zinged and then just I don't watch.
He got thrown into the Kiwi system very young too. But X Factor Scope on the bench.
X Factor
weaknesses.
Come on,
weaknesses. Sorry, bro.
Weaknesses. Hey, I'm with Ice, man. I'm a little bit south of the border. Coaching. So I mentioned it last week, and it's not as much that sort of I hear any whispers of people, talking shit about him. And this is, and not to throw any shade. Apparently, he's a legend, but you just don't really hear too many people talk him up as well, and that's a bit of a worrying sign. If you,
a lot of the times when you ask someone about Kevy Walters, they all go, "He's a good bloke." That's enough.
You hear a lot of this.
He's a good bloke.
Kevy's a good bloke. Hey,
yeah.
I used to say that about coaches that were genuinely good blokes. There are a couple, but also it's just a push away statement, so you don't have to throw them under the bus and
straight bat.
Yeah, they're straight bat. So for me, he's got the squad there. There's no excuses. I love the addition of Benny Eichen, though. I think that'll really just calm him down. Yeah. I think having a guy like Benny Eichen there will help. And it seemed to pay dividends straight away from at the end of the year, where they strung a few more games together, made some big signings. So maybe just having Benny in his ear might be a positive. But I'm yet to see it with Kevy. So I hope he goes well. Like, it's not when you say things like this too, it's not like I don't like the dude. I've never met him before in my life. I'm just saying that at the moment it's unproven for me.
Weaknesses, Ice.
The past. Bit of a different one. The ghosts of Broncos past. And a little bit different when you got 80 of your players in your starting Queensland lineup you're accustomed to success. But I think a lot of the fans put a lot of pressure on them, which they should, and I get that. But also the old players coming through. You get your Gordy Tallises and that, bagging them. And I don't think that style works anymore.
Nah.
And what you do with a strong club like that, you actually create a disconnect between the past and the future. So you might get an old guy come through and all the young dudes don't really give a fuck anymore. They're just like, oh, fuck,
well, it used to be if Gordy came and talked to them, they'd be like, oh,
yeah, you listen, you get it done. That style's changed. And the biggest example of this for me is Parramatta. I generally don't think the Parramatta old players want them to win because it solidifies their history. The team from the 80s, we won all these comps. I generally don't think they want them to win. I do think the Broncos past do want them to win, but I just think they go about it in the wrong way.
I think now with Kevy, they definitely do. Like, it's changed now that Kevy's been brought back in because he's so well respected within the older playing group, and he has brought him back in. But I think you're right, in the past, before Kevy was in there, it would have been a bit like, you know, did they buy into who was the guy that got sacked? And
they're like Seabolt, but they're like media based sprays.
Yeah.
Like if you're
because they're big dogs, they're on all the shows. Gordy, it's hard, man.
And Gordy would tell it to your face. Like he's not going to someone to say something on TV and go, want to say it to your face. But I just think they flog you. I just think there's a better way to do it with this next gen coming through. I don't think you have to spray them in public to get a reaction off them.
Jeez, big fan of Matt Lodge, wasn't Gordy? Into poor Matty Lodge.
Yeah. But I don't think Matty Lodge would back down from him, to be honest.
No, don't worry, he wouldn't.
Yeah, it'd be Gordy's too old now, but it would have been a good charity boxing fight back in the day.
Yeah.
Gordy, I'd still give Gordy a chance.
No, I'd back Gordy too. Fuck, he's scary.
2-minute rounds.
He's a legend too, by the way, Gordy. I met him like a couple of times. Yeah. He's fucking unreal, yeah.
X Factor, brother.
X Factor. Come on, man. We all love ourselves some Katoni here. Yeah. We didn't name our horse after him for no reason. Tony Staggs. Played 4 games last year. That they won 2 of them. He scored 17 tries. He fucking 18 tackle busts. Yeah. The rest of the right edge looked unreal. You can just tell, like that right edge, I talked about it with Jordan Ricky, Tyson Gamble was playing there, and who else was on the wing?
Oates.
Not Oates. Oatesy wasn't on their edge. Was Asako? Asako played a little bit, and even it's escaping me now, but yeah, just in general.
Yeah, try against the Dragons really stands out. Throwing off like a Yui Aiken.
Like
Yui Aiken is throwing off Josh Mansell, 2 of the strongest outside backs.
That was a palm, dude. That was the old bloody Sevo on Ashford.
If you could design a centre, it'd be close to Katoni Staggs for me.
I'm going Latrell.
Matt Burton for me, anyway.
I'm going Latrell GI. Tommy Turbo.
Yeah, they're not too bad as well. But if there's one person that I would say that then Latrell and Turbo are going to be the centres. Next in for New South Wales is Katoni. And even if they can, if man, like, where do you fit him in? You can't really 14. Fit him in.
Brad Phillip brought up a really good point one time. He goes, you need your right centre to have a bit of strike about them because when you're like most teams don't shift left to right as naturally as they go right to left.
Yeah.
So when you throw all your beautiful shape down the left, like it seems to flow a lot better because most guys pass that way. Yeah. He goes, when you're a right centre, you need to have something about you.
Yeah.
And he's talking about Gaznia and Katoni. Jamie Lyon. Because you have to create your own opportunities because you're not getting as clean of a pass. And he's perfect for a right centre.
Yeah. So Katoni, obviously, just on that point.
He wants to play 6A.
I don't know. I think he said he's open to it, but there's so much competition for that spot. Yeah. I reckon they need him to play centres at the moment, definitely, because I think that's where there's a few more question marks. But yeah, like I said, guys outside of that, they've got some guys that can fill in. But if he can stay fit, he's been banged up a little bit as the postman comes in. Tony Staggs,
X factor for you.
Main Payne Haas, I know he's sort of established and he's one of the best props in the game, but I think when you put him in a winning team, he starts to stick out a little bit more. He sort of gets lost in all the noise there, and he does all the like heavy lifting and all the tough carries and all the post-meter contact and all that sort of shit. But I'd love to see him, that next evolution of him, and where potentially he's a guy who's got a bit more energy in his tank and come out and put a shot on. Yep. Makes him like a little bit more scary. That's one thing about Jason Tomololo. Like, his carry was always that strong, like, but I've never really seen him put a shot on.
Bro, they're the same. They're almost the same player in the sense that, like, the amount of work that they get through is just fucking so tiring that they have to carry the load so much. Yeah. They're just gassed, whereas...
This is my point. I think Adam Reynolds kicks him into positions where he's got a bit more energy, where he can start to do those things and start to... I know he's got a nice little pass, but that really starts to develop.
Tip on, man.
Silky, but then he starts to really develop instead of being like, gas, get behind the ball, fucking give me the ball and come with me, boys. I think we can see like a nice little silk on him. I remember Benny Modellino come from just a battering ram to, oh shit, he can actually pass. When he went to the back row, and McLennan, is that his name? And he was running all those little tight blocks out wide and shit.
Yeah.
I think that, and he's already one of the best props in the game, besides maybe James Fisher-Harris right now, because he's in a better team.
Yeah.
I think,
for sure.
That's me, bro, Payne Haas.
Yeah, I love
and
that.
He's got the last 3 player of the year, so.
Yeah. He'd be a
It's scary that he can get better. That's the fucking scary thing. He can get better.
Yeah.
Love to play with him.
Come up.
Selwyn Cobbo.
Same.
Yeah, we both mentioned him last time. In the few games that I've seen him play, he looked physically up to it. It's just the maturity of that's still got to come with playing week in, week out first grade. And physically, in the sense that he didn't look overwhelmed. He dusted a few people off. I think he started on the wing his first game and then moved into the centres for a couple more. But then just watching him play Queensland Cup really stood out for me. When I watched him play in those last games, rolling into the final, he looked like a first grader playing against Queensland Cup players. That's a strong competition up there too. It's not kiddies. So
you're playing against grown men up there.
Yeah, and stood out. Like when you watch him play, you're like, all right, this guy's he's too good for this now. But he was in one of those positions where he played so many games, they were able to go back, which would have done him the world of good too, because he's playing more footy the longer. When you're a young guy, the more footy you play at that age is the better. That'll serve him well for this year. But I think they want him to lock up that left edge spot over Herbie Farnsworth.
Ooh,
it's going to be
that's a good battle.
Yeah, it's very good.
I think it's going to be a good battle.
And their outside backs in general. Like I don't know if Corey Oates even finds himself in there. Depends on which way they want to go, but.
I'm same as Scope. Just the eyeball test. When you look at him from a distance and you've watched enough football in your time, you're like, "Fuck, this kid's special." So, you just got to get him playing first grade. Fuck what position he plays. You go centre wing. Just get some legs underneath him, his lungs underneath him, and you put him at fullback as quick as possible and train him into that. So you can either go the Roger Tuivasa route where you put him on the wing for a year and slowly develops, maybe get a game here and there.
Attacking sets at fullback. Yeah,
or you go the GI Latrell, which is probably the better one because he's going to have more impact on the game at centre in this day and age.
Yeah, I like that. I also like Tessie New, so I think
Tessie New's not. I think
it's not really a natural fullback, but he's just fucking strong. I don't know, but Tessie could easily play on the wing. I think he started on the wing, didn't he?
He's one of those.
Tessie was playing on the wing from last year. At the back end. He was the one. So who was playing fullback?
It's been Asako.
Must have been Asako.
It must have been. Yeah.
And Asako was going good
but
too.
it did rotate a fair bit. So it was, you didn't really see the same combination fucking 2 to 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah. No, they were changing up. All right, and then lastly, boys, before we wrap this up and jump into our fan questions, everyone's favourite team, the Mighty West Tigers. Scope, where are you going?
Tell you what,
strengths for here.
They've had a really good this off-season. They've made some really good recruits that are coming next year. At the moment, it's a tough watch. It's a tough – going through their squad at the moment, there's not really that much and that's just being honest, there's not much that excites me about the team. I think they're in for a real tough season. I've got them in the 14-16 range. I think it's going to be, bringing in Tim Sheens has been looked to – starts paying dividends. It's a bit like Benny Ike, and they start recruiting. They start making some really good decisions off the field. Madge just seems to be under a shitload of pressure. And
he looks like the most stressed guy in Australia.
My strengths, honestly, my only strengths that I could find is the return of injured players. Dane Laurie's coming back. Adam Dewey's coming back from an ACL. But there's no players that have really come in. There's a bit of talk around Jackson Hastings, and we talked about this a bit off air. I've got my question marks on him. I know where he's played in the past. He's saying all the right things. I've seen him on podcasts, and he's doing the right things now. But I've heard that he's been able to undo a locker room in the past. So whether he comes in and he's a good influence. If he's changed, it's like one of those things again. I hope he kills it and has a good off-season and good season, but they're relying on sort of him to help out. Luke Brooks is always fucking, where's he going? Should they get rid of him? I like Brooksy.
Yeah, I reckon he gets shit on way too much, Luke Brooks.
He's one of your favourites.
Yeah, he's actually a really good player, but he's just not that guy that's going to close out a game for you. Yeah. Like you see it when the game's on the line. You see someone like DCE when it's like you need 1 point. He knows how to get you there. We see someone like Luke Brooks. He'll try and like finesse his way to a win and not just sort of work into a drop goal, which is a little bit easier. Not easier, but it's.
But he's never had that in him. Like,
but he's just not that guy.
Like
which
is fine.
You look at him talk and stuff. Like he was Dalian halfback of the year not too long ago, like 2-3 years ago.
17
and he was running the ball. But you just need someone that has to be that guy when shit's on the line, when everything's getting frantic, when the whole crowd's fucking booing you. You need someone you can look to. And for me, the strengths. My one is Adam Dewey. Yep. I know he's coming off an ACL. It does take time to recover from that. But when you watch that Tiger Town documentary, he looked like the guy. He looked like the main character in the movie to me.
Yeah.
The way he was talking, big, strong, like charismatic, fucking can play. I think passionate. He was the guy, bro, for me. He stood out like a fucking stood out like what? Something.
Mighty Cody.
Yeah, so he's my only strengths. In terms of weaknesses, roll straight in. I think it's culture.
Yeah.
I think culture is a really big part.
Jeez, you've bashed a bit of culture in this podcast.
Yeah, that's it. That's right there down the bottom of the table.
Right, yeah.
So you go culture, and I think coaching as well. I think maybe that style of coaching is outdated. We've talked about the past when players are spraying people on media platforms. When I feel like there's a better way to do it.
I think you can see the good coaches transition into that. Like Bellamy's obviously always got a spray in him, so is Desi, but they...
Difference between Bellamy, he's been there for 20 years and that culture's already established. Yeah. He's got that hard-nosed mentality. But behind the scenes, when you talk to Cheese and Munster and Kenny, they reckon he's the best dude in the world. You don't even talk about football. You walk into his office, how's the family, knows everything about your family, everything about your kids. Apparently when you go into Maguire's office, it's like footy. Yeah. Footy.
Yeah.
Bro, and in this day and age, it drains people. Not everyone's wired. You have to be wired a little bit different to be a coach. I think he might be wired a little bit too far that way where it doesn't transcend to the younger.
And Bellamy wouldn't be the type of guy to just scream shit willy-nilly. Even though he's pissed off, he'd probably still be saying stuff that's constructive.
It's got substance.
It's got substance that actually means something. And I'm the same with May. I've been in the locker room, but...
weaknesses?
I wrote plenty. Laugh out loud. That's what I got written down here. Like... Across the board, I think they're in for a tough season, man. Like I said, I keep drumming it down. I like what they've done. I think 2023 is going to be a better year for him, and if they can keep improving on Uppy, Isaiah Papali'i, some really good signings.
Yeah,
that's a massive signing for him. I think there was one more too that they signed.
So this year they're just got to get through and develop.
Got to get through. Stick solid. If they're going to if Madge's the guy, or he's going to stick with build Dewey and not too not worry about the results, but just hang in there together, compete, and then sort of look forward to next year.
Papali'i is a nice signing. The only apprehension you have with Papali'i is like you saw him burst on the scene at the Warriors, get the long deal plateau, then went to the Para, something approved, burst back on the scene. Now he's got another big deal. So you just hope that he keeps going rather than... You know what I mean?
That's a really
which is always
point.
a risk.
But he was also a young player at the Warriors as well, so he might have just learned.
He's still like 23 or
something. He's still young as, and the way that he was playing last year and developing, I just can't see that.
Mate, even if he takes a few steps back, he'd still be walking into that Tigers side.
He killed it on the left edge for him. BA said, we're going to move you to the middle because we're a little bit light there. And he went and fucking was the best middle after playing on the edge. Like, that's how I'm excited the Tigers fans should be about him. The other one is like sort of Tyrone Peachey, and I'm not saying he's a weakness, but if Tyrone Peachey was playing in the Roosters or Melbourne or Grouse, coming off playing 14, if he's coming on the field and they're down by fucking 18,
he'll chase more points too. That's just the way he plays.
They could win 36-18, but they could lose 54-0. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the sort of player.
I've played with Peachey.
I like Peach. I like him. Like I said, I like him as a player in the right team.
He's the most hybrid player there is.
I'd love to have him at Manly. But just. That's gonna. I don't know if he starts or comes off the bench or whatever, but plenty for me. But moving on, X Factor.
Yeah, X Factor. Carry on. Yeah,
I mentioned him again last year. Stefano Ikamanu. I've been on him for a minute, bro. If you don't know about this guy, you best be learning. Like same thing. Bit in that Payne Haas, Jason Tomalolo fucking mold where they go about their work, don't complain, get through, can score a meaty 2 at 8s.
He loves it, yeah.
Anytime try score at 8s.
Hey, Bucker.
Hey, that's jam, baby. But he's nice. He moves well. I think he's a real player of the future. Freddie's already highlighted him and bringing him into the game 3 of the New South Wales camp. That's how much of a big rap he has.
Put him on everyone's radar.
Yeah, I never noticed him until that. Bro, who's this dude?
Yeah, because the reason, I'm not even joking. The reason he stood out to me is because of his last name. And there was a commentator that said it when he scored a couple of tries.
It's Ikamanu.
Ikamanu. And I was like, I ended up watching him, and I was watching him. It was against the Knights. So he scored against the Knights, and he's just unreal. He's one of those guys.
You skittled a couple of the Saifidi boys to score that one, yeah.
Yep. Despite how the Tigers went last year, if you watch their games, go back and he put out a 7 or 8 out of 10 every single game. Yep. Like, he was unreal. Didn't ever look like he complained. I've got a massive rap on him.
X factor for you guys for the Tigers.
Dane Laurie.
Yeah.
I just think he's got plenty of points about him. I think he can score multiple different looks. He's good out the back. He carries the ball well, considering he's not that big. I think he'd be there shining light. I think, like Scope, I think they're in for a really rough season, but I think we have some nice little touches, almost like Duff did last year, where like even in a struggling side, they were doing the most of the lifting. Yeah.
Sorry, bro.
Dane Laurie.
Yeah, Dane Laurie. And come up, Scope, before we move on to the questions. Where are we looking, man?
Mine's a player to watch, a guy that I played against in the Super League a fair bit that I've had big raps on. Oliver Gilder. He's played for England in the centres. He's been at Wigan he's a really established, good left centre over there in England. These are the types of players that I talked about when in rebuilding teams. Me and you, Ice, have talked about it.
Is this his first year here?
First year here. He comes over with Jackson Hastings, who he played with at Wigan too, so they're going to have a combination if they can lock down an edge together. So that's a positive. He goes good, man. He's silky. I'm always more worried about outside backs than I am forwards when they come from England, because the English Pommy, their forwards, they're tough. They're
big,
fucking
strong, yeah.
The game's wet, so it's fucking it's on in the middle. It's a bit of a shit fight in the middle. Sometimes the outside backs don't go that great. Automatically, I think of Sammy Tompkins, Zach Hardacre, guys like that.
They were killing it at Super League too.
Even the other winger he went up to the Broncos. It's escaping me now.
Greg
Eden went there as well. Eden fucking scored 32 tries for Cass, and then come here and
Ryan
couldn't catch a cold. So I like Oliver Gilder as a player, and he did really good in the Super League.
Who's he like?
I'm intrigued.
Give us a player comp.
Come back to me. I'll have a little bit of a think about it. He's like a slender. He's not big. He's not overly big. He's just got like a nice little
Brad Parker.
Yeah, bit of Brad Parker. He's not going to blow you. Hey, I love me some Caltex, but he's not going to blow you away. Yeah. But he get through his job. Probably a little bit silkier than Brad Parker, like nice little flick pass. He would have grown up watching guys like Matt Gidley and all that play over there.
Cool, yeah. Bit of killer. Mike, it's not really a come up. I think he's already established with my sleepy anytime try scorer, Lukey Garner.
Yeah, you do love that Lukey Garner.
He'll run a line for you, and he always turns up. So he's undervalued, he's underpaid, he's underappreciated. So I'm just putting his name on the map. Load up on him anytime try scorer.
It's a Ikamanu into Luke Gardner. That'd be all right.
That's overs.
All right, guys, we'll jump into the questions now. We'll just give these boys 4 of the best, and we'll get out of here. So this one comes from our old mate Brendo. Great Doozy Club member, Brendo. Skip, we'll start with you. He asks, what NRL team has the most to prove this year? The boys haven't seen these either, these questions.
The most to prove is the Dogs.
Ice?
I'm going to say Rabbitohs, Just getting rid of the Adam Reynolds, back in the rebuild. Yep. Beesdeck off winning the comp.
That's a good shout.
Yeah, I reckon them.
I'm going to say Parramatta because I think if it doesn't happen now...
That's another good shout.
I don't know when it's going to happen, so I'm going to say Para. Scope, who would you rather sign if you're rebuilding a new club? This one comes from Josh Dewar.
Yep.
Phil Gould or Wayne Bennett, and why?
Ooh.
Brand new club tomorrow. Where are you going?
Fuck, that's a tough one.
I'll go Phil Gould.
Yeah,
because I think Phil, I think Wayne's good because he honestly only really cares about the first grade side, and I've heard this from, if you're 19, 20, 21, you're sort of out of the way. I think Phil can build sustained success. You look at Wayne, he's always gone to pretty good clubs, had success. Look at someone like Newcastle where he went and it took him a while to recover.
Yeah.
If I'm thinking long term, I'm thinking Phil Gould.
He did take him to a prelim at Newcastle.
Yeah, but look at the next 6 years after, fucking wooden spoon.
Brisbane was the Dragons as well. It's a bit of a...
Stacked.
Yeah. long tail effect. I'll say Wayne Bennett.
I'd say Wayne.
I think Wayne can do
I'll go
both
Wayne.
coach and GM roles.
Name me assistant coaches that he's built up.
Assistant coaches that Wayne's built up? Stephen Kearney.
Yeah, exactly.
Good point. Scope. This one comes from Billy Trapp with 2 Ps. Who plays in the Roosters backline with so many options? They are fucking stacked.
All right, let's have a think. Who's a lock? Teddy's a lock. Tupou's a lock. Joey Manu's a lock. Sawali's a lock. I'm telling you, hey, Sawali, man, we're going to get to Roosters in a bit.
No, Momorowski. So I reckon Sawali maybe start on the wing and Momorowski at centre.
Who played there? Brett Morris played there. Ikavalu played there. They're gone.
Yeah. That'll be it.
Maybe Sawali starts on the wing.
Billy Smith, man.
That's a good back five, man.
Billy Smith, if he gets injury free, he is very nice too on that left centre.
Okay.
Caught up with Luke Carey last week, and they've got this young kid who's 17 years old. He's a centre, and he said he could be just as good as Sawali. I don't know his name off the top of my head. Someone will be able to correct me on
That'd
it.
be right.
Bro,
Jump in the comments and let us know. They've also got Kevin Nguama.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Kevy, brah. I'm telling you. I'm telling you, I'd have Kevy over Momorowski.
Right now,
Yeah.
oh, bro, that Super League's
I'd have
performance final
Billy
was
Smith.
special from him.
Yeah.
You got the Harry
But
Sunderland.
he was playing really good at the West Tigers. I don't know why he went over so early too. I
think he was just getting over shift around.
Yeah, and he played at the Tigers too, which would have been draining.
And he was at Penrith too, and he kind of in and out. So
Yeah, we could have done him the world of good, yeah. Fuck, that's stacked.
That's stacked, yeah.
So just to answer the question, for me, this is mine, and then you can go after. I'd go Teddy,
Toops,
Joe Sawali on the wing. I would pick, I'm going to stick by it. I'd go Nguama and Joey Manu in the centres, Kez at 6 and Sammy Walker half.
Agree, but I'll swap Momorowski because I think they bought him for a reason for Nguama. Then Nguama could cover, or Nguama could start on the wing and still develop Sawali because he's coming off the back of an injury. So
And you still got Billy Smith waiting in the wings and old
Billy
quads,
Smith's a gun.
and old quads of doom, Adam Kieran.
What about how many
14.
fucking guys retired from their squad or moved
Still
on?
stacked.
Lost the Morris twins, lose
Friendy.
Ikavalu, Friendy, Boyd
Boydie.
Cordner, and then you just name their team and you're already going, ooh, fuck, can he fit in?
Yeah,
Stacked.
there, Jay. And last one, you mentioned the Tigers. This one comes from Loris Timorachi. Sorry if I've got that wrong. Scope, do you know that? Timorachi?
I think it's Tremachi.
Tremachi. Thank
Yeah.
you very much. Do you think Tim Sheens is the
Zealand
man to bring the Tigers? Sorry. Do you think Tim Sheens is the man to bring the Tigers to the 8 with him by recruiting inside the NRL/England?
Yeah, this year, not next year. That's a good point on the England. He spent a lot of time over in England, so he's another guy like Wayne Bennett who's familiar with some of the best talent that's coming out of England. I think you've got to be looking. I know that they're putting in. I've got a mate that works over in the West Tigers. They're putting a lot of effort into the junior nursery out in Campbelltown, Penrith now, more so than they've ever put in before. And going over to England and getting the best English players, one or two. It'd be interesting to see how Jackson Hastings and Oliver Gildart go from straight away, I reckon.
No. Because he was at Whole KR, wasn't he? He wasn't able to develop any of those.
No, he was over at a couple of different clubs. I think
I think you put him in the same mold as Maguire. Like they used to do this thing where you sit down and have so you have dinner with him, and they used to time in how much time it would take to bring up football.
It's not the worst. It's not the worst thing, though.
Yeah, but you get both of them as well. Like you pair
too
them
many
up
footy
with
heads.
Yeah, you pair them up with maybe a guy like a Freddie Fittler who can make you a bit more diverse as a human.
Well, they reckon Desi's like that. They reckon they have to
agree.
avoid Desi.
Yeah.
So, if you've got the right team and you put the right troops in there,
But they said on a day off you can't talk football, and it's easy when you got Tommy Turbo saying that because you got to listen to him because he's giving you all your points.
Yeah, and he's also talking.
He's keeping you in the
mathematics, advanced mathematics that come into it as well.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a fucking whiz kid,
Yeah,
Tommy.
he got like a 94 out of 100 out of his high school shit.
Yeah,
while he was playing first grade.
Yeah, he's proper smart.
He can we were playing nines and he can figure out your points differential. He goes, if we score 34 points tomorrow in the first game, we'll be sweet.
You're going, what? We just got to beat the
off the
Cowboys.
top of his head too.
Yeah,
I'll say yes for Tim Sheens simply because if Tim Sheens isn't the man, then
Tim Sheens is West Tigers.
I don't know what they are. So are we dropping clothes on Sunday? Correct, Isaac?
Yeah, dropping clothes on Sunday. We're dropping them. We're rocking them now. So cut and sew. We'll be live 6 o'clock. Vlog goes live at 5.